All right, how's it going, everybody? This is Robbie1 Kenobi, and we are live with my 100 subscribers Q&A. Once again, I reached 100 subscribers a few weeks ago, and in honor of that accomplishment, I decided to do another Q&A, just like when I reached 50 subscribers. Right now, I just want to give a shout out to all 101 subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing to my channel and for checking out my content and supporting the channel overall. So without any further ado, guys, let's get right down to the Q&A. Actually, before we get to the Q&A, you know what? I was gonna tweet out the link to the Q&A, but hopefully we'll get some viewers. So without any further ado, guys, let's get right down to the 100 subscribers Q&A. We're gonna start off with Generic Luchador, aka Ronnie. Thank you for the question, Ronnie. He says, "Congrats, man. Just one question. If someone were to have average size hands but had rather large rubber bands, round, large rubber stacks, could it be possible to fit one's hands around them, or is that just a pipe dream? Also, hope you aren't going to find anger over being a son who never obtained any." If someone were to have average sized hands but had rather large rubber bands, round, large rubber stacks, is that a song lyric or something? Could it be possible to fit one's hands around them, or is that just a pipe dream? I don't know. I don't get the question, Ronnie. I love you and all, man, but I don't get the question. Um, could it be possible to fit one's hands around them, or is that just a pipe dream? I don't know. I have to pass. I'm sorry I can't answer your question, man. I just don't get the I don't get it. I'm sorry. I have to pass. Okay. That's the only question he asked me. So I'm just gonna say I don't know. I'm not gonna say yes, I'm not gonna say no. I'm just gonna say I don't know. But thank you for congratulating me, man. I appreciate it. You're an awesome YouTuber. Moving on to the next set of questions from Mr. Paul JB44, very good friend of mine. He says, "Congrats, buddy. First question, how are you like the NorCal indie wrestling scene?" He probably means how much do I like the NorCal indie wrestling scene. You know, here in the Bay Area, we have like some really talented independent wrestlers who, you know, some of them have gone on to do big things on like Lucha Underground, for example. I'm really impressed with the hard work and dedication that these you know, NorCal indie wrestlers, Bay Area indie wrestlers have. I mean, people like Thunder Rosa, Nicole Savoy, Jeff Cobb. You know, they're just a lot of fun to watch. They are very talented in their craft. Yeah, you know, I feel like the independent wrestling scene here in Northern California is getting starting to get a lot of recognition, because, you know, you have people like Thunder Rosa, Jeff Cobb, who are getting opportunities to wrestle for Lucha Underground, and then you have other talent like Nicole Savoy getting to wrestle for Shimmer, and Shimmer is a very popular women's wrestling organization. So yeah, I feel like the NorCal indie scene is big. I'm loving it, seeing, you know, local wrestlers, some of whom are my favorites from the independents, getting these opportunities to wrestle, these big wrestling opportunities. And who knows, eventually, you know, I just see it as a matter of time before like Triple H and William Regal, you know, coming out to the Bay Area looking for independent talent, and want to give them a shot want to give them a try out at the Performance Center, and hopefully they do well and they get a chance to wrestle for NXT. So yeah, I think the NorCal independent wrestling scene is big. They're doing big things, and I can only see them doing bigger and better things in the future. Favorite TV show to watch besides wrestling? It's a good question, because I have a lot of favorite TV shows to watch. If it was, it says favorite TV show to watch besides wrestling, so I'm assuming I can only give one answer, but I do have a ton of favorite TV shows to watch. Favorite TV show. I'll go with, yeah, because I'll give you one answer, but I have a ton of favorite TV shows. I'll go with this answer because I recently just caught up on the season of The Flash. think The Flash is a great superhero show. Grant Gustin is awesome as The Flash, and the way that the season 2 ended shocked me, and it has me excited for season 3 because like I want to see how the ending of season 2 plays into the start of season 3. I have a ton of other favorite TV shows, but since you asked favorite TV show, so I'm assuming only one question, one answer, I'll go with The Flash. When will Sasha win the women's championship? Most likely SummerSlam. I mean, I don't see why she would not win the championship at SummerSlam. You know, Charlotte's got this feud with Natalya and Becky Lynch going on, and you know, after that, I got a feeling that we're going to start setting the stage for Sasha versus Charlotte. I mean, who else are you really going to give a women's championship shot to at SummerSlam other than Sasha? So, yeah, I see Sasha, excuse me, dethroning Charlotte at SummerSlam. Who do you want to win the Money in the Bank briefcase this year? I got Owens. Like I said in the video that I did with Daniel Geiser yesterday, I would love to see all five of our top picks win, but there can only be one. It's anybody's ball game, excluding Del Rio and Jericho. I think I really want to see. This is a tough one, only because like I know I put Ambrose as #1 on my list as the guy that I feel has the best chance to win it. But who would I want to see win the match? Probably Bray Wyatt if he's in the match, because you know Ambrose has had title shots before. Bray Wyatt, and this baffles me still, has only had one title shot his entire run on the main roster. So I would want to see Bray Wyatt win it more. I mean, if Kevin Owens wins or Sami Zayn wins, that's awesome. They are 2 of my top 5 picks. But yeah, if like who I really want to see win Money in the Bank this year is Bray Wyatt, because I feel like if they're gonna really pull the trigger with Bray Wyatt, this is the chance to do it. Having him win Money in the Bank if he's in the match, of course. I mean, if Ambrose wins, that's awesome, because if WWE wants to pull the trigger with him too, then this is the chance to do it. But if I had to pick between Ambrose and Wyatt, because this guy has not had a single title shot since 2014, he's only had one title shot, I go with Bray Wyatt. And final question, who would you like to see at WrestleFest this year if it happens? A lot of people. Rey Mysterio Jr., Melissa Santos, Ricky Steamboat. I'm trying to think of people that I haven't met that I really love to meet. Ivelisse. X-Pac. I have his Elite flashback figure from his DX days that I like to have him sign. A lot of people I like to meet at WrestleFest this year, Paul. I'll probably name like 5 or 6 more. Eve Torres Gracie, would love to meet her. Would love to meet Mickie James again, because Mickie James is a real cool person, very nice person. Trying to think of more legends that I'd like to meet. I'll just go with those 7 for now. I mean, like I said, there's so many people I'd love to meet at WrestleFest if it happens this year, if BTW is able to do it. But like top 5 picks, 6 picks I'd like to meet: Rey Mysterio Jr., Melissa Santos, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ivelisse, and X-Pac. I'll just say those 5 for now. But yeah, there's like a ton of people I'd love to meet at WrestleFest. But yeah, thanks for the questions, Paul. Appreciate it. Next question. Okay. Question from WWE TNA 1152, aka Charles. Thank you for the one question. Honestly, just going to be straight up with this question: sit-in or stand-in for wiping, of course. Oh my God, do I really want to answer this question? Oh my God, I cannot believe this question was asked. I know this is a joke question. I don't even know if I really want to answer it, because I did say No inappropriate questions. I don't know if I really want to answer this question. Oh man. I'm gonna answer this question, Charles, because you are a good friend of mine. You know, I support your channel and I support mine. I want to answer this question sitting. There you go. For wiping. Oh my god. Okay. Thank you for the question, though. I appreciate it. Next set of questions comes from TJ Rules. He says, "Congrats, man. Hope to see your channel continuously growing. Thank you for that." First question is, if Brock Lesnar was your next door neighbor, how would you react? I'd probably, I don't know if I'd mark out, but I'd probably be like, "Holy shit, it's Brock Lesnar!" Like, because that's a guy I would not want to piss off. You know, I would probably go if Brock moved in next door to me. I'd probably walk over there, just extend my hand, you know, to shake his hand and say, "Mr. Lesnar, welcome to the neighborhood. It's an honor to meet you." That's it. You know, I would not want to piss Brock Lesnar off. I think it'd be cool if Brock was my next door neighbor. I think it'd be surreal if he was my next door neighbor because it's Brock Lesnar and Brock really doesn't. Brock really isn't. He really doesn't hang out that much. He really doesn't socialize that much. I mean, mainly with his family and good friends. But other than that, he doesn't really socialize that much. But if Brock Lesnar was my next door neighbor, I'd probably like it'd be very surreal because it's Brock freaking Lesnar, the Beast incarnate. Brock Lesnar, you know. But I would probably, if he was my next door neighbor, I'd probably, just because I know he'd kill me if I pissed him off, he'd take me to Suplex City. I'd probably just go up to him, shake his hand, welcome him to the neighborhood. That's it. You know, maybe talk to him for a little bit, but welcome him to the neighborhood. You know, shake his hand, tell him it's an honor to meet him, and that's it. Very, very creative question, man. Thank you for asking that. Bonus points for you. If Bray Wyatt was a rapper, what would you call him? Probably Buzzard. Probably Buzzard or Voodoo Child or something like that. I know Voodoo Child is the name of a classic Jimi Hendrix song, but probably probably like Buzzard or MC Voodoo, something like that. I think Buzzard's better. Um, I'll go with Buzzard. I don't know. MC Voodoo. I like Voodoo Child, but like I said, it's the name of a classic Jimi Hendrix song, so I don't want to get like sued or anything. So I'll probably just call him Buzzard because you know follow the buzzards. Or what was he called? What did he call himself? Accuser something destroyer, right? Uh, I'll probably call him Destroyer or Accuser. I like those names better than Buzzard. If WWE had their own restaurant, what would you call it? Um, well, it can't be called Squared Circle because Victoria already owns that in Chicago. Um, and they already had Slam City. Probably would call it like Inside the Ropes, the Inside the Ropes restaurant. Or if it was a buffet, because this is the same price for the network, they probably have the $9.99 buffet, you know. So like, but to answer your question, TJ, maybe they call it Inside the Ropes, or I'm trying to think, what's like a popular catchphrase the WWE has right now that could be used for a restaurant. Um, hmm. I'm just gonna go with Inside the Ropes for now. If I come up with a better answer, then I'll return to that question. But for now, I'll just call it Inside the Ropes. I don't know. Maybe they call it Slam City, even though it was the name of the cartoon, and then there was a toy line that followed. But probably like Inside the Ropes. Yeah, that's the best I can come up with for now. If like I said, if I come up with a better answer, I will. And lastly, do you want to see Roman heel or Seth as a babyface? I want to see Roman heel because, like I've said in other videos, the crowd just doesn't accept him. They don't want to cheer him. So just turn Roman heel because I feel like you could do big things with Roman as a heel, especially if you want to do a feud with him and The Rock, culminating with a match at WrestleMania. I'm sure Rollins is going to turn babyface later, somewhere down the line. He's going to turn babyface. But honestly, like, to answer your question, I just want to see Roman heel. I mean, I'm not getting my hopes up because I don't know if they're ever going to do it. If they do it, they do it. But, like, I would like to see Roman heel because I want to see how he does as a heel. And I want to see if they go with him and The Rock for a potential match at WrestleMania. Because there are tons of things you could do with Roman as a heel, you know, to really get him that heel heat. So, to answer your question, I'd rather see Roman as a heel. I mean, he's practically a heel because the fans boo him. But I want to see him go full-on heel. Seth will eventually become a babyface. I mean, the crowd's going to eventually turn him. But to answer your question, if I had to pick one, I'd go with Roman turning heel. All right, TJ, thanks for the questions, man. Thank you for the support as well. Next, I have questions from my good friend, Mildly Moderate Red. He says, congrats, man, on 100 subs. Thank you for that. Thoughts on the thoughts on the hashtag YaBubba movement. For anybody that doesn't know, that is a movement started by my friend AHS Rules. That is his own copyrighted slogan and everything. And I only said it because it was part of the question. But to answer that question, I think it's awesome. You know, I told Austin he should get that quote on a shirt, and I would buy it. I also told him that he should get Bubba Club shirts made, and I would buy one too. You know, Charles, me, and Gio said we each buy a Bubba Club shirt if Austin was to get them made. Yeah, I mean, Austin his catchphrase is very catchy. You know, he's clever with those kind of things. So I think it's awesome. I think Austin's movement is gonna grow more here on YouTube, and I think it's only a matter of time before he forms the Bubba Club, and hopefully we'll get them shirts made. Favorite match of 2016 so far: Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. That match was just incredible. I mean, Nakamura was over from the time he made his entrance. You know, the second he stepped out into the arena to wrestle Sami Zayn, he was over like $1 million. He's a freaking rock star. The match was just awesome. I mean, what better way for Sami Zayn to go out in his final NXT match than against someone the likes of Shinsuke Nakamura, and what's undoubtedly the front runner for match of the year. That was just an incredible match. It was an insane match, and yeah, that's my favorite match of 2016 so far. Most anticipated film for the rest of 2016, Suicide Squad. I'm honestly looking forward to seeing Will Smith as Deadshot. I'm looking forward to seeing Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Looking forward to seeing Jared Leto as the Joker. That film, because I've already seen Civil War. I've already seen X-Men Apocalypse. The one film I'm really looking forward to seeing in the next few months is pretty much Suicide Squad. So yeah. And then thoughts on the 2016 Spelling Bee. I can't answer this question, Jack, honestly, only because I don't even know what happened at the Spelling Bee. I mean, yeah, I could look it up, but I didn't watch it or anything, so it's not like my answer is going to be genuine or anything. So yeah. Thank you for the questions, man. I appreciate the support. Next up, excuse me. Okay, so here are my questions. Next set of questions come from AHS Rules. First question is, who is your dream match for Finn Balor? AJ Styles, because I always wanted to see those guys have a dream match. Yeah, I always wanted to see those guys have a dream match, especially in Japan, because they made a name for themselves in Japan. And yeah, I just think that'd be awesome. You know, they're two former Bullet Club members. I believe they each were the leader. I believe they were leaders of the Bullet Club too during their respective runs. AJ Styles, Finn Balor would just be an incredible match. In Japan, it would be a huge money match, because of the reputation they made for themselves. Because of the reputation that they made for themselves in Japan. So yeah, Finn Balor, AJ Styles. That would be my dream match for Balor. Question 2, have you spread her butt cheeks? I knew this was I knew you asked me something like this, Austin. I knew it because I saw these questions on Jack's Q&A video, and something about one of these questions made me think that he intended for those questions to be on my Q&A. I knew it. All right, so to answer your question, Austin, I mean, I know I said no inappropriate questions, but to answer your question, no, I haven't. Question 3, have you met Jugs? I saw Jugs in the Jay and Silent Bob movie, so I guess I haven't met her, but I saw her in the Jay and Silent Bob movie. So yeah, I haven't met Jugs, but I saw her in the Jay and Silent Bob movie. Next question, do you have any, and he got this from Virgil, do you have any fuck money to spare? No, I don't. Sorry. 5, have you ever had Virgil's meat sauce? No. 6, where's your video with Gio about Lucha Underground? We haven't done that video. We may do that video. But I also was trying to do the X-Men Apocalypse video with him, but I don't know if he's seen it yet. So we'll see what happens with that video. I'm sure I'll do some kind of Lucha Underground video with him, but for the time being, that video's on, I don't want to say hiatus, but we haven't worked on that video yet. We haven't planned it yet. 7, do you like turtles? Yeah, I like turtles, especially Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And speaking of which, I will be seeing the movie this weekend. So yeah, I like turtles. I like Ninja Turtles. I like the turtle from Finding Nemo. I like the robotic turtle from Dexter's Laboratory. I like, who's that other turtle? I like Filbert Turtle from Rocko's Modern Life. I never had a pet turtle, but turtles are cool pets. I like Squirtle and Wartortle, and I guess Blastoise as well is considered a turtle from Pokemon. So yeah, I like the Ninja Turtles. I like the turtle from Finding Nemo. I think what's his name, Crush. I like Squirtle and Wartortle, and I guess I could count Blastoise as well. No, Squirtle and Wartortle because Blastoise is more of a tortoise. Not trying to get technical, but yeah. I like who's that other turtle? Filbert Turtle from Rocko's Modern Life, Robo Turtle from Dexter's Lab, and who's that other turtle? That's pretty much it. Ninja Turtles, Filbert Turtle, Robo Turtle from Dexter, Crush from Finding Nemo, Squirtle, and Wartortle. And last question, do you know the name Carlos Figueroa? I have a feeling that he's somehow related to wrestling, so no. Carlos Figueroa, if I'm correct, because I'm looking this up right now. Professional football mid. If this is the Carlos Figueroa you're talking about, Austin, from Guatemala, he's a football midfielder. I didn't know about him until now because I literally just looked him up as you asked me that question. But anyway, Austin, thank you for the questions. I got a question here from, well, no, not a question. I got a comment from Cody Ray, aka Super Punisher 119, just congratulating me on 100 subscribers. Thank you. Next set of questions from my good friend Daniel Geiza. Once again, congrats on reaching 100 subs. Thank you for that. Questions. First question: what would be your ideal WrestleMania 33 main event? I have two. Either John Cena versus The Undertaker if they decide to do that match, or because I feel like they could pull this off if especially with this one guy coming to the main roster soon. Maybe AJ Styles versus Finn Balor for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know, like I've talked about AJ versus Balor in other videos. I can make a full video about that. Yeah, because for now, I mean, maybe Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, especially after watching the documentary about how Rollins got his start and he had a match with AJ Styles early on in his young career. Yeah, so okay, so my ideal WrestleMania 33 main event would be one of these three matches: John Cena versus The Undertaker, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, or Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. One of those three. Yeah, I'll go with one of those. I'll go with that answer right there, Daniel. Of those three that I mentioned, I could go with any one of those as my ideal WrestleMania 33 main event. With the brand split returning, doesn't Raw have to go back to 3 hours? Did you mean 2 hours? Because I honestly think Raw has to go back 2 hours with the brand split. I don't think they have to go back. I don't think they have to stay 3 hours. I think if they're going to go back, if they're doing the brand split, I think Raw has to go back to 2 hours. SmackDown can be 2 hours. And you're getting... So that way you get enough wrestling within the next... You get enough wrestling to watch within the next couple of days. So you're not, like, burned out or anything. Because, honestly, I don't know why Raw went to 3 hours. Like, with the brand split, I think it really needs to go to 2 hours. Now, call me crazy, but this one thing I had in mind, this one idea was, with the brand split, have Raw go back to 2 hours, SmackDown 1 hour. You could have SmackDown be like NXT, where you have matches that enhance storylines, and you can have like enhancement matches, or you could have matches that are key to storylines and whatnot. But Raw definitely has to go back to 2 hours with this brand split, and SmackDown can be 2 hours, or SmackDown can be 1 hour. I mean, maybe make SmackDown more of the wrestling show and have like NXT, where you have matches and you have key segments that enhance storylines and feuds. But I totally agree with you, man. Raw has to go back to 2 hours, not 3 hours, if this brand split goes down. And third and final question: who would you like to see Brock Lesnar feud with in the near future? Cesaro, Randy Orton, especially after you pitched that no DQ match between Brock and Randy at SummerSlam. Brock and Bray, but once Bray's regained a lot of momentum and he's stronger. Bray and AJ Styles, not Bray and AJ Styles, Brock and AJ, Brock and Balor, Brock and... I want to see Brock and Rollins feud again, but I want their feud to be more significant, and I want it to have a bigger payoff than what happened at Battleground. And there's one other guy, Brock and Samoa Joe. That'd be freaking insane. Brock and Nakamura, Brock and Sami Zayn, Brock and Kevin Owens. And there's one other guy I want to see Brock feud with. I can't remember his name. Not Baron Corbin, not Apollo Crews. I'll just end it there. So I'd like to see Brock feud with Cesaro, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt in the near future. And like I said, with the Rollins feud, I want that feud to be more of a more significant feud. I want it to have a better payoff than it did at Battleground. So yeah, those are the people I'd like to see Brock feud with in the near future. Thank you for the questions, Daniel. Oh, and I appreciate the support as well for the channel. Next set of questions come from another good friend of mine, the Wrestling Fan 16, my little brother from another mother. Thank you for the questions, Brandon. First question: what is your favorite Superstar Save Point episode of Up, Up, Down, Down? Shoot. I think I've seen more Gamer Gauntlet episodes than Superstar Save Point. I have yet to see the Becky Lynch episode, which I really, really want to save. Or really, really want to see. Save. You know what? I really enjoyed the one with Kevin Owens and his son Owen. That was just very fun because we got to see Owen play video games, and we got to see Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens plays a hell of a heel on TV, but you can see off screen he's a family man. He loves his son. He's a very down to earth guy. That was probably my favorite Superstar Save Point episode. Because I just had a lot of fun watching Owen play and watching Kevin Owens talk with Xavier Woods and seeing them all interact with each other. So that was a lot of fun. That was my favorite episode. What's your favorite superhero movie of all time? Marvel's The Avengers. Well, wait, no. You know what? It's a tie between Marvel's The Avengers and Tim Burton's 1989 Batman movie. I love that movie. Not Heath. I almost said Heath Slater. Excuse me. Heath Ledger was in The Dark Knight. Jack Nicholson was in this movie, was in the 1989 Batman movie. He did great as the Joker. Michael Keaton did great as Batman. I thought Kim Basinger was freaking lovely as Vicky Vale. I used to watch that movie a lot when I was a kid. So my favorite superhero movie of all time is a tie between the Marvel's The Avengers, because that was just an incredible superhero film from start to finish, and Tim Burton's 1989 Batman movie. Who is or are your favorite comedians? I still love Dave Chappelle's old work, especially Chappelle's Show. Amy Poehler is very funny. I've become a big Rashida Jones fan after watching her on Angie Tribeca. Robin Williams will always be one of my favorite comedians. God rest his soul. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. He's one of my all-time favorite comedians, favorite comedic actors. I like Adam Sandler, but I'm not a big fan of his recent films. So I'm just gonna go with comedians I still like to watch today. Dave Chappelle, Amy Poehler, Angie Tribeca, Rashida Jones, who plays Angie Tribeca. Oh my God, I just had the person's name in my head. Robin Williams, of course, one of my all-time favorites. And oh my God, I mentioned somebody else. Let's just go with Dave Chappelle, Amy Poehler, Rashida Jones, George Lopez, although I haven't seen a lot of his stand-up lately, and Robin Williams. We'll go with those people. Sorry if I seem a little scrambled with these answers. If you guys give me one moment, I got a message from WAPW. I'm going to just respond to this message real quick. Okay. If you hear my phone go off, if you hear that little ding, it's James messaging me here on Messenger. We're talking about the brand split. So if you hear it go off, it's my phone. Back to your questions, Brandon. Question 4. Besides Howard Finkel, who's your favorite ring announcer of all time? Melissa Santos is currently my favorite ring announcer because she is just freaking beautiful. She kills it out there. What are we talking about in wrestling or in sports in general? Because if we're talking about my favorite ring announcer of all time from any sport, Michael Buffer, hands down. But if we're talking about my favorite ring announcer from, so I'll answer this in two ways. Favorite ring announcer of all time from any sport is Michael Buffer. Favorite ring announcer of all time from wrestling, I love Melissa Santos. She is my favorite right now going because the girl kills it on Lucha Underground. She is just freaking incredible. But if we're talking about my favorite of all time, got to go with Justin Roberts because Justin Roberts had incredible voice, when he did ring announcing. Whether he was introducing John Cena or The Undertaker, Roberts killed it out there. So my favorite ring announcer, besides Howard Finkel of all time, is Justin Roberts. I love Lillian Garcia. I love Melissa Santos. But if we're talking favorite ring announcer of all time, it is Justin Roberts. What is your favorite SummerSlam match of all time? Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship from SummerSlam 91. Classic wrestling match. Incredible wrestling match. Just, I love that match. I can watch it again and again. Never get tired of it. One of Bret's best matches. One of Perfect's best matches. One of the best SummerSlam matches in SummerSlam history. And last question. What is your favorite WWE DVD that you own? The DVD, The Rise and Fall of ECW, because that is an incredible documentary. You cannot get that documentary. That documentary would never be released in the PG era. You know, it's uncensored. It's very raw. That documentary would never be released. Yes, it's on the network, but it would never be released in this PG era, the way it was released back in 2004. That documentary is awesome. Yes, the matches are still really good to great, but I mainly watch it for the documentary, which is just a freaking incredible documentary. That's my favorite DVD. I have a ton of other favorite DVDs, but my favorite that I own is The Rise and Fall of ECW. And he also says, congrats on 100 subscribers, bro. Thank you for that. I appreciate your love and support, and thanks for all your feedback on my channel, man. Thanks for subscribing. Next set of questions come from Breatha35. Breatha, somebody too sweet, man. Sorry, you can't see me do it, but anyway. He says, I'm going to do this in my Breatha voice. I'm going to do this in my Breatha35 voice. Congrats, Roby. My 6 questions are based on Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Question 1, what would be the voting process for a pro wrestler to be inducted into your Hall of Fame? Ooh. Voting process? Ooh, you kind of put me on the spot there, bro. I guess how it would be done, man, you kind of put me on the spot there, Retha, but I guess how I would do it is, if I had a Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, how I would do it is like this. I would list like 20 to 30 wrestlers, and I guess I'd list like between 20 and 40 wrestlers, and what I would do is I would get a group, like, if I had a Hall of Fame and I had all these people working for me who were very well rounded with wrestling, like they knew so much about professional wrestling like I did, I would list 20 to 40 nominees. I would have them all vote, and the one, like, I'd say the 6 or 7 or 8 that had the most votes will go in. And then after we have like between 6 and 8 selected, we would then decide like who's the headliner, who would go in first, second, third, who would induct these people. So that's how we would do it. We would have like 20 to 40 nominees, and of those 40, the 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 that get the most votes, then we put them in the Hall of Fame. And then we would decide like who would induct who, when they would be inducted, and so forth. So to give you the best answer that I can, that's how the voting process would work. Who would you have voted to decide who gets inducted into your Hall of Fame? Well, like I answered in the first question, I would like the people that would work for me if I had my own Hall of Fame would be very well-known people that knew a lot about the wrestling business, whether they were in the wrestling business or were just fans, like Gemini, for example. I'd have him because he's a freaking wrestling historian. Those who really know their wrestling, those who know the business that well or have been in the business and know, like, have seen it all, those would be the people who I would have and choose who would be inducted. 3, if you had a physical Hall of Fame building, where would you have it located and why? Where would I have it located and why? That's a good question. If I had a building, a Hall of Fame building, where would I induct? Where would I have it? Well, I'm from here in Northern California. Well, since I'm from here in Northern California, I'd probably have it in a place like San Jose or Santa Clara, where because WrestleMania 31 was held there, WrestleMania 31 weekend. I probably have like my Hall of Fame located in San Jose or Santa Clara. So then like we wrestling fans out here in the Bay Area could go out there and visit. It wouldn't be like it'd be like an hour drive at the most, and we could check out the memorabilia and whatnot. So I'd probably have it in the Bay Area, San Jose or Santa Clara. Who would be your very first inductee and why? That's another good question. Well, this was my Hall of Fame. I probably have to induct, like, the first inductee would probably have to be Hulk Hogan, because without Hogan, the WWF, as it was known back then, wouldn't have become as popular as it was, or wouldn't even be around if it wasn't. Probably my first two inductees would be Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan, because without them, without what they did and contributed to the wrestling business, we wouldn't have the WWE as big as it is. Professional wrestling wouldn't be as big as it is without the combined powers of Hulk Hogan and Mr. McMahon. So Vince and Hogan would be my first two inductees, because without them, the WWE wouldn't have been as big as it is now. I don't think professional wrestling would be as big as it is. Sports entertainment would be as big as it is without Vince and Hogan's contributions. You know what I'm saying? So they'd be the first two inductees into my Hall of Fame. Would a wrestler like Chris Benoit be considered for induction into your Hall of Fame? Well, I know WWE will never put him into the Hall of Fame because of what happened. For me, if this was my Hall of Fame, I really don't know if I would induct Chris Benoit. That's kind of a hard question for me to answer, and I'm not going to give a bullshit answer. So would Benoit be considered for induction into the Hall of Fame? That's really hard for me to answer, Breathe. I'm really not sure, because I'd have to take into consideration, yes, what happened, what he did was tragic, there was no excuse for it. I mean, his brain was messed up. If I put him into my Hall of Fame, the only reason I put him into my Hall of Fame was to acknowledge what he contributed to professional wrestling, how he was one of the greatest technical wrestlers of his generation and of all time, pretty much. But I really don't know if I would have him in the Hall of Fame. So would he be considered? Would I consider putting him into Hall of Fame? Yes. Would I actually put him into Hall of Fame? I don't know. That's how I'll answer your question. I would consider Benoit into the Hall of Fame. I'd have to take into consideration everything. But would I go right ahead and put him into Hall of Fame? Not quite sure. And last question, how many pro wrestlers would be inducted on a yearly basis? Like I said, between 6 and 10, maybe 11, if depending on how many wrestlers get a lot of votes. So anywhere from 6 to 10, maybe 11. I hope you like the questions above. Yeah, man, they're very challenging questions, very unique questions. Thank you for that, and good luck to you on your way to 150 and 200 subscribers, bro. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Too sweet, man. All right, so let's. How many questions we got? All right, two sets of questions left from subscribers. First up, Awesome GOL. He says, "Congrats, thank you, man." First question: favorite era of wrestling? Attitude Era. I mean, that was the time to be a wrestling fan. That was the time to that was when WWF really started taking over. They had to make a huge change to their product, and they did. And from there, they took over, and they beat WCW in a huge way. I mean, the Attitude Era was the best time to be a wrestling fan, because you had all these great feuds, all these great storylines, all these great wrestlers. Yeah, Attitude Era will always be my favorite era of wrestling. Is Zandig the man? Yes. Zandig is the man. He will kill you if you do not agree. How many of them were there? How many of them were there? Well, Gio, to answer your question, I'm not going to answer the question because I'm going to have someone else answer the question. I'll have this guy answer the question.
There was 5 of them. It took 5 of them.
There was 5 of them. It indeed took 5 of them. Is Virgil the man? Yeah, I guess you could say Virgil's the man. I mean, I wouldn't pay $35 to get him to sign his 3 pages in the WWE Encyclopedia like he tried to do to Stevie Breach, but yeah, I guess you could say Virgil's the man. Favorite wrestling YouTuber? All right. Before I give this answer, I'm fans of a ton of people on here on YouTube. Yu-Gi-Oh, Austin, Bretha, Brandon, Charles, Paul, Breach, Miguel. So I don't want anybody to feel left out or anything when I give them my answer. My favorite wrestling YouTuber, because this was the guy that I really got into when I first started checking out videos on YouTube before I got into mine, Stevie Breach. Stevie Breach is the guy that got me into these videos, and he was one of the inspirations behind me starting my YouTube channel. So yeah, Breach is my favorite wrestling YouTuber. But like I said, Gio, I love your videos. I love Bretha's channel, Austin's channel, Brandon's channel, and so forth. 6. Do you support... I don't want to get sued, so I'm just saying, do you support Austin's movement? Yeah, I support Austin's movement. I've already said, if he makes the Bubba Club shirts, I will buy 1 or 2 of them. You know, I think those shirts would be cool to wear. You know, he can make a little profit off those. I mean, of course, it's his decision whether he decides to make these shirts or not. But yeah, I support Austin's movement. It's catchy. And I want to see some Bubba. I would love to see Bubba Club shirt made, but what Austin, he holds the future of that in his hands. So yeah. Thanks again for the questions, Gio. Final set of questions come from TN Couponer. Before I get to those, get a swig of water. Okay, here we go. Final set of questions from TN Couponer. First question: What match would you want to see at WrestleMania 33? Well, obviously, in Daniel's question, he asked about the ideal WrestleMania 33 main event. But what match would I want to see at WrestleMania 33? The Rock versus Roman Reigns, to further put Roman over and to solidify the heel run he'd hopefully have at that he would have from there on. So Rock versus Roman Reigns. I'd really like to see that match. If you could go on a date with any female, who would it be and why? We talking about in the wrestling business or screw it? Okay, if I can go on any date with any female from wrestling, from the wrestling world, if I can go on a date with any female from the wrestling world, I'd want to go on a date with Lana. She's freaking beautiful. I love her. She's awesome. I mean, who wouldn't want to go on a date with a Ravishing Russian? Now, if I wanted to go on a date with any female from, let's say, mixed martial arts, I go with Paige Van Zant because she's freaking beautiful, and we've actually talked before on Twitter. Like she's tweeted me back on Twitter once. It was a simple thank you, but yeah, she's really cool. And then if I can go on a date with any female from film or TV, film or TV, if I could go on a date with anyone, I'd go on a date with probably Deborah Ann Woll from True Blood and Daredevil on Netflix. She is fine. I don't want to go on a date. Okay, so If I was to date a female wrestler, Lana. If I was to date a female mixed martial artist, Paige Van Zandt. Female actress, actress on TV or film, Deborah Ann Wall. And third question, who is your best and worst experience meeting a wrestler or a celebrity? Well, worst experience meeting a wrestler, and this one necessarily wasn't a bad experience. It wasn't horrible, but it was just like I expected this guy to be a little more sociable. And he just, I don't know, he just seemed like maybe he was in a funk or something. Was Brodus Clay. I met Brodus Clay, and Paul knows this story. I met Brodus Clay at I met Brodus Clay at an APW show in September 2014, and like I got an autograph from him. It was in the WWE. It's in the WWE yearbook that I took with me to WrestleMania 31. He didn't seem sociable because I go up to him. I don't even think he looked me in the eye when I asked him like how much for an autograph. He just told me, "Oh, autograph's $10." And he signs my yearbook, and then he looks at the yearbook in this way like I don't know if he was upset because I brought him the WWE yearbook because he had been released at that time from WWE. So that experience wasn't the worst, but if you were to ask me like what was, to answer your question, I guess that was, yeah, you could say that was the worst experience, but it wasn't an extremely horrible experience. I expected Brodus Clay to be a little more sociable, but I guess I don't know if he was having a bad day or what. So that's that experience. Best experience I had meeting a wrestler, because I haven't met many celebrities, other than boxers, for my job at SFA as a sports reporter. I mean, the best experience I had meeting a celebrity was meeting Shawn Porter, because Shawn Porter was a very, very nice guy. He's a very humble guy. You know, he shows a lot of love to his fans. Shawn he's a good friend of mine on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, so best experience meeting a celebrity, even though you can consider professional wrestlers a celebrity, was Shawn Porter. But best experience I had meeting a wrestler was meeting Mandy Leon at WrestleCon last year during WrestleMania 31 weekend, because we talked not only about wrestling, we talked about my aspirations to be a sports journalist, and we talked about the WrestleMania 31 main event, and I did a little fantasy booking in front of Mandy. It was a great experience because she's a very nice person. She's very beautiful. She's a sweetheart, and Mandy is like one of my favorite female wrestlers out there. She was my best experience meeting a wrestler, because of how I got to interact with her. I mean, we talked about wrestling, we talked about our Puerto Rican heritage, we talked about WrestleMania 31, we talked about ROH. I got to fantasy book the main event in front of her, like how I would have had Seth cash in. And then we talked about my journalism too. So like that's the most personal experience I've ever had meeting a wrestler, and it was undoubtedly that's the best experience I've had meeting a wrestler, because she was very nice, she was very professional, and I felt like I was talking to a friend, because she was asking me about journalism and who I want to write for and this and that. So Mandy was my best experience meeting a wrestler. Worst was meeting Brodus Clay. Like I said, it wasn't to classify it as worst wasn't an extremely horrible experience. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, the experience meeting Brodus. But yeah, best experience was meeting Mandy. Worst experience was meeting Brodus Clay, and best experience meeting a celebrity in general was meeting Shawn Porter in San Francisco almost 2 years ago. He said, "Keep on making great videos, buddy." Thank you, Josh, for the comments. Thank you to everybody who sent in questions for this Q&A. What I'm going to do right now is actually I'm going to go to the live video itself to see if anybody left me. Nope, no other questions or comments. All right. Well, with that said, everybody, I want to thank you all for asking me questions. Even if some of your questions be a joke or I was just not adamant about answering them, if they're about, I don't want to say silly things, but yeah, thank you for the questions, everybody. Thank you all for supporting this channel for the almost 2 years that I've been on YouTube. Hope to make it to 150 subscribers. Hope to make it to 200 after that. And of course, I'll keep doing I'll keep doing Q&As for every 50 subscribers that I reach. So thank you everybody for watching and listening, whether you're watching it live right now or you watch it later on in the day. Thanks again for asking me questions. I'm throwing it up for the club and for the Breather Club and the Bubba Club, you know, for 100 subscribers. Thanks as always for watching and listening. Thank you to all my 101 subscribers on here on YouTube. And please continue to keep supporting my channel. Share this channel and this video with your friends. And until next time, guys, this is Robbie1 Kenobi signing off. Thanks again. This has been my 100 subscribers Q&A. I'll see y'all later. Peace.